Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, B Fam Podcast. Thank you for tuning in, and as always, thank you for your time. Today, I'm here with
Samara Holloway.
I've been waiting since last week to use that shit. But today we are going to talk about optimism and finding good in rocky times. So you can kick us off.
Well, I'll just start off by talking about myself. I'm from LA. I'm a sophomore. I'm double majoring in business and psychology. I'm on the pre-law track. I just finished the semester, done with all of my finals yesterday, and I was telling Austin like 2 minutes ago that optimism and finding hope and like positive mindsets in rocky times is the story of my life, and like especially something that I've put a lot of practice into since starting college and like my last year of high school. So
go for it. Just
I don't know.
You don't know where to start?
No, I don't know where to start.
Let's we can start recent and then just digress back. I feel like it's easier to do that. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Like we just had finals, the fucking math final.
Yeah, the math final. Let me tell you a story. So I had to take calculus this past semester because it's a major requirement, but I did not take pre-calc in high school. The last time I took any non-statistical class was my sophomore year of high school, like first semester, and then COVID happened, and like my teacher, he was a great guy, but I didn't learn very much. So I was really playing catch up, and I was super nervous, and I mean, I did it, and I think I did pretty well, actually. Like, I thought I was bad at math this whole time, and I was really scared of it. But
yeah, nah, bro.
it wasn't that bad, and Austin over here was my third tutor.
I was working like a dog.
No, but he was really working like a dog. People would ask me questions, I'd be like, we'll just ask Austin, so...
And I'd be sitting here doing 5 problems at once, trying to remember.
But basically, we were helping him study.
Yeah,
as he was helping us study.
Oh my God, because dog,
so
I hate sitting down and looking at stuff for a very long time, and I will give up. Not like I quit, but it's like,
no.
I know this already.
Yeah.
But as long as I'm like actively working, I like to make games out of like hard tasks.
Okay.
It's so fun.
That's something different. Tell me about that.
Because it's like, if I look at a hard task, it's not that it's too challenging to do. It's just like, I don't feel like doing it. But if you can make it fun, you can trick yourself into liking to do hard things.
See, I just lie to myself. Like,
it's the same
I've been
shit.
stopping doing that because I just like lie to myself and gaslight myself. I'm like, no, it's not hard. Like, oh, it's not that much, but it kind of is.
Wait, but it's like, I feel like everything is nothing is hard or easy. It's more simple than anything. Because it can be simple, not easy. And when I say simple, it's because everything is going to have a set of things that you have to do.
Yeah.
So it's all about completing a task at hand, you know what I mean?
But
so
I feel like if you categorize it as what it actually is, like in my head, college is easy. Like, this isn't hard. Double majoring, that's not any more work. But like, if I tell myself, yeah, it is a little bit more work, then I can like mentally prepare myself and like come up with the tools that I need to implement it instead of going at it and just being like, no, this is really easy. You should be able to do it in like this specific way. And then you start making like personal attributions, being like, I'm not smart enough or whatever.
Yeah.
But it's like, actually, I am smart enough. It's a lot of work, but like college is difficult itself. You know what I mean?
It is. But it's like, I hate how it's like, sometimes it's easy and then sometimes it's like a bulk of work. They just throw it on you.
It fucking pisses me off.
It fluctuates so much. But it like, once you get like through it, it feels so good at the end because you're like, damn. But the drawback of it feeling good at the end is like, you feel like you have nothing to do.
Oh my God.
I don't know what the fuck to do with my hands. Like
yesterday, I submitted my final. I was sitting on my beanbag and I submitted my final. And then I like sat there and I was like, well, now the fuck what? Like, I did not know what to do with myself. Like, I was very confused.
Just going around, bro. I was listening to music. I was just on a skateboard. Because I think we all need that break.
Yeah.
Being optimistic is cool. It's always good to have that high emotion, but sometimes we just need a break from everything.
And also, this is a psychological thing. It's important to, like, sometimes if things aren't, like, going good, like, to be like, yeah, things are actually shit right now.
Yeah.
Because, apparently, when you're always being optimistic and you're not, like, recognizing what's actually going on around you, that's, like, a form of avoidance. And once again, it just, like, doesn't give your mind and your body like a chance to catch up to the actual experience at hand, and it like creates like an internal dissonance. So
you got any more on that?
That's just like kind of it. And like for me, growing up, my parents are like wildly optimistic. Like they definitely use it, I think, as avoidance. And it makes sense. Like they grew up in like a world and with experiences that were a lot more difficult than mine, so they had to learn how to be optimistic.
Yeah.
But it can be toxic, I think, at certain times, just because, like I was saying, like, if you're not actually acknowledging what's going on around you, you're, like, lying to yourself in a maladaptive way. And, like, I think that a part of life is, like, life is the challenges, and then, like, also you getting through the challenges. But that's, like, what life is. So if you're just like, oh, it's all, like, rainbows and
sunshine
unicorns,
and rainbows,
and you don't ever acknowledge the thunder clouds, like, you're not giving yourself a chance to, like, actually be human and, like, experience, I guess, like, the dark, quote unquote, darkness that comes with.
But it's like the storm before the calm. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and it is.
It's like the best thing ever, because after big ass storms, we get a nice ass rainbow. Go ahead.
My favorite professor last year, she told me that, like, grief, like, in the darkest shadows of grief, like, can come, like, the most shimmering and, like, beautiful aspects of life.
Yeah. And
I, like, experienced grief for my first time my senior year of high school, and it was fucking rough, and I was, like, so depressed.
What happened?
For, like, 7... Okay, well, I was depressed for, like, 7 years, and, like, just not... Like, school was... I was the only black girl in my class. I didn't really fit in with the people. Like, I had a lot of friends. I was, like, you know, really involved, like, class or school president, like, senior year, whatever. But, like, I was just so different from everyone around me. And my experiences, like, my background didn't really match a lot of other people's. And had a lot of conflicts with my mom especially. But, like, my parents and, like, we weren't really close and, like, as a family. And COVID happened.
Oh, shit.
And then, like... I got into a relationship with a girl sophomore year of high school to senior year of high school.
Yeah.
And that was an issue because that meant I had to come out to my parents.
Oh, shit.
And then we broke up, like, senior year. And that was, like, during, like, when I was grinding for college and everything. And, like, that was a whole thing for me because I have an issue with, like...
Yeah.
I had a lot of pressure on myself. And it was just terrible. And that was, like, the breaking point. Why did I start talking about this? Fuck. No, it was, like...
No, the storm before the...
Oh, yeah. And so, I had to go through, like, a lot of... I don't even know why I started this, but, like, I had to... It was a really rough time.
A self-learning process?
Yeah, and I had to, like, force myself to acknowledge, like, this is shit. And then...
Like,
yeah, and then afterwards, like, on the other end, I came out, like, a completely different person.
Yeah.
Like, a completely different person.
Because, like, the first step to overcoming is acceptance.
Yeah.
So, for you to have optimism...
Yeah.
First, you gotta be like... Yeah, like you were saying, like, okay, let me assess the situation at hand with a non-biased view. So you can, like, look at it and be like, all right, this is truly bad. This isn't as bad.
But also,
go ahead.
Sometimes, like, you can't even do... Sometimes it's just, like, you're just, like...
You're so paralyzed.
You give up. Like, the paralyzed.
You're like, oh, my fucking God.
Yeah.
Oh, my God, everything's...
And that's, like, a huge thing with me. I have, like, pretty bad anxiety, and, like, sometimes I'm literally just, like, frozen. Like, I can't move.
You don't know what the fucking next step is.
Yeah, and so I'm just like, well, fuck, I'm just gonna, like, sink into the fucking couch and, like, I don't know. But...
And just wait for it to all pass. Yeah. But the more that you, like, avoid it, the bigger it gets.
Yeah.
And the more that you step forward, it gets smaller and smaller. But I think it's that first piece that's really tricky for a lot of people, which is starting.
Yeah.
Because they feel like, oh, my God, I got to start something new. And I always say this, but it's way easier to think of something as a continuance of something instead of starting something completely new. Because if you put it in your brain that you're starting something completely new, it's thinking that it's got to form a new habit. And to form a new habit, you got to get rid of old habits. So you extending this process that you can skip by just saying, all right, I've done something like this before.
I'm going to sneeze in a couple of seconds.
Okay. Pineapple. I mean,
I know.
Oh, okay.
I think it might be going away.
Okay. But, like, fuck. Oh, damn.
Starting something new.
Oh, yeah, starting something new. So if you think back and say, all right, this is a bless you. Bless you. This is a continuation of something I've done before. It'll feel way easier getting back to it. So I'll use, like, the gym, for example. If you're somebody that's gone to the gym before, you've had a routine, and you just so happen to fall out of it because whatever happened, XYZ, school you got busy, you couldn't go, this, and that. And then you think about going again, and it's a few weeks later, you're probably like, damn, I got to start going to the gym. Now your body's like, damn, have I never been to the gym before?
Yeah.
And now you think about it like, oh, dang, now I got to progress through these ways, this, and that. But if you say, well, no, I've been to the gym before. I'm just continuing that process
Yeah.
from where I left off.
Yeah.
And it'll be way easier to flow into things.
Yeah, and I also feel like even with like novel experiences, once again, like I think like the hardest aspects of life or like the ones that we tend to want to avoid the most are like what makes our lives, like what gives it depth and like purpose and stuff like that. So starting new things in general, like it's hard. Like the idea of starting college and like there's so many implications that like I didn't even consider before starting college.
Like
and then
what?
Like I don't know, especially this year, but like the senses of responsibilities, and I've always been a very like self-sufficient and responsible person.
Yeah, I get what you're
But
saying.
this year especially, like I'm living in my own apartment, which means I'm responsible for grocery shopping and
Dishes.
dishes all the fucking time, and I hate doing dishes. And like cooking and like meal prepping and then
Going to class and then waking up and then going to the gym and then having a social life.
Exactly. And like cleaning my apartment and taking care of myself and then, you know, nurturing my personal interests, but then also focusing on school. There's so much, and it's like you didn't even consider all of it.
Yeah.
And so for me, and this happened like the beginning of the semester, I was just like, holy fuck, like I'm so overwhelmed, and I was like paralyzed. And it was like after those first midterms, that's when I started coming to math like kind of hella late. I was like all over the place. I was going through it because I didn't know what to do. But for me especially, and I think for people who might like have type A personality traits or just like
talk about
like
those.
to be in control. Okay, well,
Another tangent. Go ahead.
I didn't realize that type A personality traits were like relatively maladaptive or like not the best until I was studying.
So what are type A?
Okay, I'll pull them up because I was reading about them as I was studying for my final the other week, and it was stressing me out. It was on stress.
Yeah.
But I was getting stressed out because I was like, holy shit, this is me, and this means that I'm like more susceptible to coronary heart disease and death and stuff like that. I was like, okay, so this is nice. Type A personalities are characterized by extremes of competitive, striving for achievement, a sense of time urgency, hostility, aggression.
Sounds familiar. Sounds like the man in the mirror.
Right. I'm not hostile, which is like the main thing that contributes to like coronary heart disease and death, but like definitely a sense of time urgency, like walking fast, talking fast.
Oh my god. Yeah, no, that makes so much sense.
Yep, detest. I hate lines. I wouldn't even wait in the lines at EVK last year. Like I would not get like the hot meals because I was like I couldn't wait in those lines. Like,
I just skipped the line.
Oh, how? I just feel bad. Just give me the line.
Man, fuck that nigga. If he
Are you serious?
If he not gonna say, if the person that I cut in front of not gonna say nothing to me, bro.
I would always say something because it's just like.
Nah, because like I gotta, or even if you have a friend in the line.
If you have a friend, that's different.
Step up, but
that's
like
different.
sometimes, bro, like when they had like the Halloween special and stuff, I'm not standing in line for that, bro. I go straight to the front, hop in front of somebody, and they just look at me because my car's gonna get swiped before.
But I just feel like you're just like in your own world. Like
yeah, that's how you
actually do, like coming back from getting your Starbucks, your genocide juice. Oh my gosh, I almost hit 3 people just now. Like what? But
like yeah, you gotta. I feel like that's another thing that's like super important. You gotta be able to live in your own world, but just make it to where you're not harming anybody. Me cutting in the line isn't harming anybody.
But it
may be a little inconvenient for them, but this is my world and you're living in it. So
see, I can't do that. I just am like, you know, I would hate like if someone cut in front of me, I'd be like, excuse me.
I'd be like, oh.
No, I'd be like, wait, excuse me. I was here. I was standing here.
Yeah, and then you get in front of me, and I get in front of the person that was behind
come
you.
Up with like an alliance
so there you
or
go.
something.
But it's never like, just think about how many people really want to start that. You know how much fire you got to have in you to be like, you cut in front of me. You're too tired to care.
I just like would never, because it's just like a lot of like.
But on the flip side, I got to be able to accept if people do the same thing to me. Like I can't like.
And that's the thing. I'm not willing to accept that.
Really?
Don't fucking step in front of me. I'm standing right here. I hate when people just move around. Like it's like I'm right here.
Yeah.
Like come on, where's this sense of self-awareness? And people here do that a lot. Some girl I was biking today she wasn't even paying attention, and she like almost skated right in front of me. I'm like, bitch. Before you make a turn, look left and right.
No, they're NPCs. They don't exist.
Where are the fucking rules of the road? It pisses me off. But type A personality. Racing through yellow lights when they drive. Striving to win at all costs. Saving time by multitasking.
Now that I have this perspective of these type A personalities, it makes sense to why like sometimes if you have type A personalities, I feel like you're more susceptible to anxiety, right?
Yeah.
Because you always feel like everything needs to be going faster than it actually is.
But that's because of the control factor that I was talking about.
Right.
Like, that's why I started this. And, like, always needing to be in control. And I think that is, there's, like, strength in that. And, like, if you think about people who own businesses and who are really successful, it's because, like, they're controlling as much as they can. And they're, you know, quote unquote manipulating things so that way they're the way that they need them to be to work out in their favor or like work out for their goal or whatever. But like I think a lot of life is about letting go and letting things happen because there's so much that we actually can't control.
And I think shit like that is like, I call it raw talent. Because like, okay, think of this. I'm putting like sports perspective. You played sports before?
Yes, I
Okay,
have.
so you've seen somebody that's naturally talented step onto the playing field and do their thing, right? Okay, they can be amateurs. They can probably be people a little bit better than them. But when it comes to, like, real competition, at some point, they're going to dwindle. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Hard work beats talent.
Yeah.
When talent fails to work hard.
That's
so if you don't
the story
have
of my life.
Yeah, so if you don't have, like, a coach or if you don't understand yourself enough, even if you're your own coach, I'll keep the sports thing going on. But, like, if you don't have anybody to help you hone that talent and show you how to use your powers, you're going to fall, like, susceptible to shit outside of that. And you're going to fall off, you know what I mean? So if you have a type A personality, you have to understand that, okay, this is the things that I'm most susceptible to. What is in my control to, like, kind of let go or be more lenient on.
Yeah.
And then you amplify the power of that personality trait.
But it's also realizing that, like, what I always say, it's like there's so much in this life that is out of our control. So you control the fuck out of whatever you actually can control.
Man.
But aside from that, like, you have to let things be and it's usually going to be fine.
But how do you...
It's literally just telling yourself, you know what, it's fine. Like, so for me, like, if I'm, you know, biking to class and people are just moving really slow, they're getting on my fucking nerves. And I'm like, fuck, well, I'm already late. Like, you guys got to get out of my way. But it's like, you know what, it's actually fine. Like, it doesn't matter.
You're not missing anything.
And, like, also, I think, like, it's hard because these are very subjective and they vary throughout life. But it's like, my goal, like, being here overall is, like, to do well in school and to, like, set myself up professionally and for adulthood. So is being late to class one time really gonna, like, get in the way of that?
Your entire...
It's like me not being able to go to the gym or, like, me not meeting a certain standard that I make, like, really deter that. And, like, for me, just because I'm such a perfectionist, like, I plan out my days to, like, the minute most of the time. Like,
fucking calendar.
It's like,
I feel embarrassed when she looked at me and was like, all right, this is my study schedule for math. And I looked at my book bag and was like, if it's not in that iPad or I can't write it down on paper, I'm not looking it up.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
If it's not set right in front of me, I'm not looking it up.
I just have, like, that's it. Like, I think, like, ahead of time, like, I'm like, okay, so where am I going to be in 2 weeks? And then where am I right now? And I need to make sure that I, like, make room for, like, things going wrong, because I heard this quote, like, consider everything that can go wrong and assume that it does. And I'm like, you know what?
That's somebody's theory. What theory is it?
Yeah, it is. I recently heard it.
What theory is it? It's whatever.
Like Einstein.
If something, no, it's not Einstein.
No, it's not.
But he was like, if something, my roommate knows. It's like, if something, it's a law. If something is gonna go wrong, it's gonna go wrong. Like,
maybe you said that to me. I feel somewhat. I, like, heard it within the past week.
Yeah, if it happened, anything that can go wrong will go wrong. That's how it goes. And it's like, the basis behind it is not that, like, everything is gonna go wrong, but if you're stressing yourself over the anxieties of what could happen, you just gotta understand.
It's Murphy's first law.
Yeah, Murphy's law.
There we go. You
gotta understand that no matter where you go, if that thing is gonna happen, it's gonna follow you. So if you paralyze yourself from going to the gym because you're like, oh, I might break a finger. Nigga, you can break a finger walking down the hall of your house. Like, it doesn't matter where you go.
Right.
Your finger is breakable. It might be more breakable at the gym because of all the stress, but it balances out even at home. Like, if it's gonna happen, it's gonna happen. There's no way that we can. That's trying to taint with fate. You know.
That's literally what life is, though. Like, there are so many uncontrollable forces, and this is what I think. Like, when I think about it, and I'm not actually in it, I reflect and I'm like, damn, like, life is so rich and so beautiful, because it's like, we're absolutely fucked up. People created everything that we have right now, like all of these systems, white people did
The
a beautiful
economy.
job at creating like systemic oppression and racism. Like that shit is still going.
They went crazy with that one. I'm not gonna lie.
They
went crazy.
I think it's wild. Like there's
that's like impressive. Like,
isn't it?
Like
That's why I'm so interested in power and politics.
On
like
a very like obstructed, like not even obstructed view, but like if I was to step back and look at slavery, that is like, how do you get away with
they
some shit
gaslit?
like that?
They gaslit.
Think about this.
The
Think
whole
about this.
world.
A motherfucker was like, "No, you can't get a job."
Because you're black.
Like what?
And then
How do you have that much
convinced
power?
black people that they were less than. And then they came up with all of these stereotypes.
Dude, and then they put them in these neighborhoods, and it's like, dog, they was like,
They did all of
we
this.
just now becoming self-aware, and they like not letting up.
Isn't that crazy?
That
I
is
just
insane.
Like everything that like this is life. Like this is what it is. Like there's bad and there's good, and that like I don't know. I think still though it's super like powerful or like interesting that even in all of the things that go wrong, good things can still happen. Like despite the fact that there's like a really well constructed system that has meant to oppress people, like people have slipped through the fucking cracks. And it's super minimal, but like
it happens every day.
It shouldn't have happened. We shouldn't be here right now. Like if their plan was actually like as strong as they thought it was going to be, we wouldn't be here. Malcolm X wouldn't have existed. Like Martin Luther King, all of those people. And so it's just like trying and like putting in those little steps. And I think like focusing on the goal, but like not accepting, but like I'm learning to accept that like shit's going to happen and bad things are going to happen. And it's super scary. Like I'm so scared of like struggling really, really hard. And that's why I like plan everything out because I'm like, fuck, I need to make sure that I'm protected and safe for the future, but like I also do have to know like there's gonna be times in my future
shit does go back,
and don't know how I'm gonna do them. But
can I cut in right quick?
Go ahead.
All right, so I don't want people to get like paralyzed by what ifs. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So like a lot of times we'll look at the current situation we're in, and it can be good, but we're like, we look back and go, damn, what if I did this? But you got to think. Yeah, shit could have went good if things went the way that you thinking in your head. But you also got to think it's two sides to every coin.
Yeah.
And it's like, how do you know you wouldn't be better? You wouldn't be worse off if that occurrence was to happen.
But it's also just like accepting it. And there's another principle. It's called the sunk cost principle.
Go ahead.
And it just basically says that like you shouldn't make decisions based on the past. You should make them based on the present and the future. So like, let's say you bought a ticket to a basketball game and you were set to go, but then the day comes and like the player that you want to play or that you like
see play
right isn't playing, like they're out of the game and it's really raining outside and you're sick and stuff and you're like, well, fuck, I paid for this game. I really wanted to go, but the player that I wanted to see isn't going to be there. And then I'm sick, so I'm not feeling well, and I have to like drive in the rain to go and see this game. So by the time you get there, like if you went in this scenario, like you wouldn't be as excited. You'd be a little bit pissed off, and like you might get a little sicker. Like you should be resting. That's like you making a decision based off of the past.
Ooh.
But like when you make a decision based off of the future and the present, like that's what social psychologists recommend for like economists and like making decisions on like stocks and stuff. And I was like, that's actually a really good way to think about life because it's like the past is the past. There's nothing that you can do from it. And I've really learned to like learn. Just like what can I learn from these experiences? Like the first round of midterms, I was like, fuck. I actually feel like I'm dying. Like, and one of my friends, like I saw her when I was working, we were just talking. And I was just like, but like think about what you're learning. Like I learned, I'm like, okay, I have to think about school in a different way. Like I have to learn how to like better allocate the energy that I spend on certain tasks and stuff like that. You know, like you can always
everything
learn
goes
something.
Right, how the fuck is you ever gonna learn how to learn, or how are you ever gonna learn anything?
Yeah.
When you out, Kanye was like, I wonder how people feel when I say.
Okay, Kanye.
Yeah, Kanye was like,
tell us what Kanye said.
He was saying like, if you always move through life trying to find the correct answer, your life becomes a test.
Exactly, and I heard that quote and I was like, damn, because I have test taking anxiety. Like if someone will ask me a question, like mental math, like when we're doing the math on the whiteboard and I'm like, okay, what's 3 + 2? And I'm like, oh shit, I don't know. And
it leave your head that exact.
Blank. It's always so fucking embarrassing. But like life doesn't have to be a test. And I was definitely raised in that. Like my parents, like we would be at the dinner table and they'd be like, okay, count the grapes and like stuff like that. We were like an overly like smart like family or whatever. So I just like was used to being tested, and I have a younger brother, and like he was always competitive. He was one of the he had like the raw talent, and I have work ethic.
Yeah.
And like I think I'm pretty smart, like just genetically probably, but like I've had to work my ass off to get where I am, whereas he's definitely
just came to
sailed
it
through
naturally.
life a little bit, and he's having to learn how to work hard now.
Yeah.
And so like, and he was younger too, so my parents were like, oh my God, you're gonna let your younger brother like one up you, and I'm like, fuck, like,
it's not a competition.
Guys, I'm so sorry. Like,
you got to compete with yourself,
right.
not against
I'm
yourself.
my only competition.
That's another thing. I want people to understand that you're not going against yourself. You're going with yourself. It's a difference between the two.
You need to learn.
You got to be your own best friend.
You have to learn how to work with yourself, because there's so many principles and like laws and rules and stuff. But at the end of the day, I think that the way that I'm going through life right now, it's like I'm picking and choosing what works for me, because like I'm the only me out here. Like I'm the only one who knows the way that I work, and like going through my like experiences.
Yeah.
And so it's just learning like what works for you, and like it's not going to work for everyone, but I don't know. I think that's okay. It can be hard or sometimes like isolating, but I think it's important. And like, I mean, I do that with religion and stuff like that. And I do that with like the way that I have to learn, because my brain works in crazy ways, so I have to.
So you gotta accommodate to yourself,
and I have to like, you know.
One thing to go along with what you're saying is like, okay, so I was watching this video, and it was playing. Have you ever heard like a sound, and then you go to the comments and they be like, read this, but listen to the video again, and then you'll hear a different sound, but the sound never changed.
No.
I don't know if I'm making sense right now. So
I know what you're talking about. I just have never seen one of those.
Oh, it'd be like videos where the sound be playing, and it'd be like, oh, it sounded like they said this. And then when you read what they say it sounded like, you hear it. Yeah. I wish I could like play the video that I was hearing, but
I know what you're talking about.
It was the important lesson about this is that the guy was saying your ears and your eyes perceive life in two different ways.
Yeah.
So how can you trust anything that you see? Reality isn't real. Reality is what it is to you. You see your own reality. Like, me and you look at the door, but we can have two different feelings about the door. You can have trauma from the door because somebody broke your door down when you were little.
Damn.
I can look at the door and be like, damn, I love doors because I have a family that makes doors. So, you know what I mean?
Door makers.
Yeah, so it's like we get two different emotions from the same object. So you got to understand, what in my life have I seen, what experiences have I had, and then what experiences do I want to become real. And once you think about those, you got to think about them in a way that makes sense to you. That's why anytime I'm learning anything, I explain it to myself like I'm a 5-year-old.
Yeah, that's why I
sit there and just talk to myself
so much, because
I talk to Professor Geske, bro.
You dumb that shit down.
I'll be in there like, oh, so like this and that. He be like, well, oh yeah.
Let me tell you guys. So we come into Math 118, and you know, I'm like getting a read of the room. I'm starting to like, okay, this is the class that I'm going to be with for this semester. And I just hear this voice. I just see this blob of like, you know, a green sweatshirt and just talking.
That boy shines strong.
And it's just him and the professor. It's just them two. And that's Austin. Like, he literally like has one-on-one conversations with both himself and with the professor. And like, obviously it works. It's doing something because like he knows the material. Like, everyone knows this.
They just sit there and they just be quiet the whole time. So
but I like so admire that, because it's just like I talk to myself, especially like that's why I study by myself often, and like I like having study rooms because I need to move around. I need to talk, and like talking out loud helps me to remember
it bounce off the walls and you talking.
It's basically
bounce off the walls and you listen.
Basically, but like I just had never done it in a math class before, and so like overtly. But like here Austin was just in his own world. In his own world, I like wish that I could.
Oh, so we got to do this and that. And he be like, yeah, exactly like that. And be like, wait, why we do that?
Right.
And I feel like it helped the people around, because if the nigga is just sitting there talking to me,
it definitely does.
I'm gonna zone out. I don't care if you just talking to me, bro. It's gonna eventually go in one ear and out the other, bro. Like, learning is like an active process for me. Sometimes for people, it's like, okay, I can sit down. This information can be read to me. Blah 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 blah. I know it all. I gotta have an active conversation, because one thing I really love to remember I can remember conversations really well. So if I'm evoking a conversation with the professor as he's talking to me and giving me this information, I can recall what he is saying.
But that's a personal like learning tip. And I also think in general though, like most people learn that way, but most people are too uncomfortable to speak in class. Like for me, I don't speak out loud to myself like you do, but like I'll raise my hands and ask questions. Like I always sit in the front, and I've done this like my whole life because when I was growing up, like I couldn't see the board. I had to sit in the front, so I had to learn how to get comfortable with like asking for accommodations and stuff like that. But growing up, like my classmates would always be like, thank you so much. You're always asking such good questions. And I'm always so nervous too. Yeah. So it's like, we're basically just taking a bullet and like, you know, helping the people around us. Cause it definitely does.
One man for all.
Yeah.
How do it go? One man for one. I don't know. Dang, they just clapping?
Yeah, there's, I think, probably a final going on.
Oh, probably.
We should go and ask them if they want to be a part of the podcast.
Nah, for real. Just whoever was the best presenter, you get to sit on.
Hey, you guys are the winner.
But what was I saying?
I don't remember.
What were we talking about? We were talking about talking to ourselves out loud, conversation.
We can, like, also, like, pivot a little bit, because I want to ask you, like, how...
Oh, go ahead.
What was this semester like for you? This was your first semester.
For me?
And let me tell you, like, my first semester of college, I was like, shit. Because I was like, high school for me was hard. Like, I put my work in, and I was like, damn, this is a little bit easier than like my last couple of years of high school. But like, college has gotten a little bit harder since. But like, I don't know, it's still like not super, super terrible. Like, it's chilling. So, what was your experience like? You're coming from Detroit, all boys school.
Yeah, that all boys school got me.
Los Angeles. Okay.
You were the Jesuit.
Hey, I went to Immaculate Heart High School. Give me a little
Here,
noise
you
too.
Can get a little.
All girls school. All girls Catholic
Fairies
school.
and shit. Scary. But no. Go ahead. You ask me the question one more time.
How has your first semester been? What has it been like? You're coming from like a completely different state,
extremely
different cultural.
So it's like
communal experience.
Anytime I walk into anywhere, bruh, I think I said this before. I walked on campus and was like, all right, I'm about to take this motherfucker over.
What?
This is my shit. This is my house. So it's like...
Okay, reverse colonialism?
Yeah, so it's like, how do I make the most of the situation? Because it took me so much to get here.
Right.
Even if I don't fully acknowledge it, I don't like to, I had this hard life. Yeah. Oh, every night I was up. Like, no.
I do want to hear about that, though.
Okay, I will tell you a little backstory. But like, I'm like, bro, I've done all of this.
Yeah.
Now it's time to make the most of it.
Yeah.
The people in my life didn't make the sacrifices they made for me.
Yeah.
For me to get here and fumble
I relate 100%.
I didn't make the sacrifices for myself to get here and fuck it up. You know what I'm saying? Period. So it's like, I'm about to take this motherfucker over.
Right.
So I get my classes. I go, all right, it's a learning process. This is all new information. I came from like pre-calc in high school. The shit that we learned in calculus.
I thought you took AP Calc.
Nah, the shit we learned this semester was like all new to me.
But was your high school easy? Like, how was it?
College prep.
Yeah, so you were like relatively prepared. Like you had study habits and stuff like that. Oh
yeah, because finals there was like
intense.
Because we had 8 classes, so
exactly.
You got 8 finals.
My junior year finals prepared me.
4 finals is like oh okay
yeah.
But no, it's just this semester it's been up and down. It's definitely been some hard times, but one thing I've gotten out the habit of doing is checking my grades. Because in high school, I would check my grades, but towards the end, I was like, bro, fuck grades.
Facts.
Because if you do what you're supposed to do, everything will work out in the end. It's like grades are a byproduct of you just living your life. You don't need to stay updated on. It's like a credit report.
That's so facts.
You're
like
only
for
supposed
me,
to check.
I get that's where the control comes in. I'm like, well, fuck, but like, what if it doesn't? I need to check and make.
What you gonna do? What are you gonna do? Give you an extra assignment?
Basically, in my head, nothing. Like as long as you ask. Like I don't know how it happened.
Oh, as long as you ask,
you can figure your shit out.
You can get some shit done.
I don't know how I'm here or why I'm here. I feel like I've manipulated the system, but hey, what can I say?
Shit just works out sometimes.
Yeah.
But you got to be open to all experiences. But like I was saying, what was I saying?
What were some of the
downs?
Yeah, or like the thorns of your semester, things that made it a little harder.
Because it's like, since I'm so far from home,
I
don't really get like super homesick, like, I miss my bed. I don't mind sleeping in like different places. But like, as in terms of like, seeing my family, I fucking forgot I had a family.
Oh shit.
Yeah, that type of shit just leaves my mind.
So
and
object permanence.
What's that?
so it's like when it's like what babies have, but it's an ADHD thing. And I know that I have it. Like if I don't see something in front of me,
I forget.
I'm gonna forget it's there. And that's why it's easy for like out of sight, out of mind with people. Like if I don't see you for a long period of time, I'm gonna forget that you exist.
But I love my family. It's not like I hate them. It's
so
just
you're close with your family.
Yeah, I love them so much, and it's like I don't mean to like not neglect, but I don't mean to like not say anything because I get so caught up in my present moment and where I'm at. I'm always where my feet are. It's like, damn, I keep forgetting to like reach back to check on my family.
So do you talk to your family, or did you talk to your family this semester?
I did. I talked to them. I feel like enough.
Good.
I feel like it was more than enough for me, like check in here and there. But they know I'm that type of person that's like, oh, Austin's always in his own world. Right. But I did miss like that net to like fall back on, because when you're at home, it's easy to like explain what's going on because they're right in front of you. I don't like talking over the phone because what are you gonna do? Come through the phone and fix it. I know my dad would probably take a flight to come fix it, but I don't want him to do that. You know what I'm saying? So I think the loneliness factor was probably that. Seasonal depression.
Did you really in comparison?
Wait, did I what?
Did you like find a family or anything here?
I got all my friends. I love my friends. Good. Everybody here is like, even you guys, like you and Jay, like people I interact with. I appreciate those interactions so much.
I don't think I could have gone through math without all of you guys. Like it really like changed my experience in a really, really good way.
So just not having that net that I'm used to, and then trying to utilize the net that I have here, but also being the type of person that likes to isolate itself in times of like distress. So I spent a lot of time in my room just getting to it. And then when it was done, I was like, I can breathe.
I'm the same way in terms of isolation. I've had a lot of issues with like emotional walls, and just like it's easier to like you don't have to deal with anyone else. Just like focus on yourself, and then you don't hurt anyone else. But I've learned that like the people that love you, like unconditional love is like loving someone like as a whole, and so like that means not only loving you in your perfect times or when you're like easy to be around and stuff like that. Sometimes it's like it's harder for me to put myself out there when I'm like struggling a little bit more, but it does help like me, because before this year, like I would just study by myself or like in my room or whatever, but then I started going to the library and stuff, and then I would start seeing people, and like that time that I saw you and Febin, and I was like, damn, like I guess I should start studying outside my room more, because then I just see people and I love people, and it like the social support, which is another psychology thing, but it really helps. And like one of my friends, like she was studying for Kim and Levy while I was simultaneously studying for like my political philosophy class, and we would like have study or like hug breaks, which is another psychology thing. Like release, we gotta get you back on talking about this psychology. No, I have a lot of shit that I applied, especially during finals and stuff. But just like it's just so nice to. It's hard to like be vulnerable enough to let people see you when you're not at your top, but like it's really nice because you're all bonding in that regard. And then also it's like, you know what, I'm like, you're growing in that. And I think because there's so many people around us, we may as well take advantage of it.
I think what it is that for me personally, this might be I know this is like whatever, I'll just keep going. It's not the fact that I was scared to be vulnerable with those around me, but it was the fact that they've never seen me like that before. Because, you know, when you meet somebody, you meet this certain version of them. And once you do it, I guess 3 times, that's enough for me, like, to be like, okay, they act like this. That's what our brain likes to do. It likes to take shortcuts. So if I meet you 3 times on 3 different occasions and you act the same way every single occasion, now you're built into my head as this character. So anytime you act outside of that, it's like, fuck wrong with that.
Right. What was your first impression of me, or your first impressions? Like, how did you think that I acted after those first 3 times?
Literally, I don't know, because I didn't like hear you talk. So you just sit down. I was like, oh, she's always late. I was like, okay, so she comes into class. She seems like she wakes up late sometimes and just be distressed, and just she looks like she just got done running into the building. So I'd be like, well, her brain is all over the place, and she probably is, instead of understanding this information, as soon as she sits down, she's lost for the first 15 minutes that she's in here. And by the time she gets to it, it's too late. So she goes home and she watches the lecture.
No, I don't though, because it wasn't. Job. No, I like would sit down and I would figure out where I was. Like it wasn't even that bad. Like that first midterm when I was like really going through it, like you were right. Like that's basically what was going on.
But it did get better. You started coming more consistently. I'm like, cool.
Yeah.
She's all right.
I just like, this semester just hit me like a brick. Like I said, after those, there was a lot going on.
I had a lot of papers.
It was so
but I like writing.
Fucking rough.
That's how you gotta turn. That's where the optimism come in. You gotta be able to make it a game. So like, okay, I was like, all right, this shit hard.
Yeah.
But that's why, like, on my fucking Instagram story, I put the finals
You're
down
so
like
funny.
it's a like it was
I was just like,
NBA
was just like
series.
imagining you like doing it, like pasting your face onto the pictures and stuff like that. And just like, wow, he's
I'm
just like having a really good time.
Because
Like,
it's like, yeah, this is it right here. I want people to see what I'm going through. And even if I was to fail one of those finals, I would still have a comedic relief by posting, all right, USC got me on this one.
See,
We're coming back for the next game. I'm not lying. I like to keep it as real as I can.
I wouldn't have lied, but I like wouldn't even have done that because I just like would have. I just judged myself a lot because I just put so much pressure. I'd be like, fuck. Not USC winning. They got this point. Like, I just wouldn't even want to admit it. I'd be upset about it.
But yeah, I just like to. It's like when I know it's becoming rough and I know I got multiple things to do at once. This is a sort of multitasking tool I use, because one thing I do say is multitasking is real and it is possible, but it's only possible if the things that you are doing are congruent with each other. Because you walk, and you eat gum. That's multitasking. But you can do that because
you can do that and we have to, but I don't think that we're supposed to. One of my theories is like we as humans, like our attention and like our energies are so split between so many different things, and we are not supposed to be doing this because like scientifically multitasking doesn't actually exist. It's really difficult to do two things at once and like do two things well at once. Of course they've had to learn how to adapt and like learn how to do it. Like I multitask all of the time, but it's definitely not as like
okay. I don't, but no, I'm not saying.
But I know what you mean. I know what you mean. Like learning how to come up with like an adaptive way to like.
So it's like what I do is I go, all right, I got business, I got math, I got writing. I can structure out a few days to each one, and then get it done in a time span. So what's the easiest to get done? A paper, because that has no limit to like what you can do. Like, yeah, you can sit down and type so much in a day, but you can like get something done and then sit it aside and it's going to be there and you can pick it back up.
Yeah.
Business, you might have to do all in one fell swoop so the information is there. Math, I like to do in one fell swoop because I just like numbers. So I save math until the end because math is more of my relief from everything. Mm-hmm. I take writing and I'll do that like in the morning or whenever I get an idea. And it's more tools to utilize for the writing here. Mm-hmm. So I set up appointments to the writing lab and I say, okay, I want to have this much done before I go to the writing lab.
So you use the writing?
Hell yeah, I use that writing lab, boy. I did dog because I love to write. So it's like if you utilize the resources around you, the work will get done for you. Like even during my final yesterday, during my business final, I was like, I had like sort of been done with like my final or whatever. I was doing it, but I understood to myself. I'm like, okay, usually when I do finals, I do feel good. But within the time I took the final, it was like I make like very minor mistakes. Mm-hmm. So I'll choose a letter right under the letter that was right. It won't be far off. So I'm like, damn, okay, let me recognize what I usually do. Let me sit back and go back over this whole thing. And I'm utilizing the time that they give me and using it to my advantage, because the more that people finish, the less questions are being asked in the class. So if nobody's in the classroom and I'm the only one there, I'm about to keep getting up asking this nigga for help on the quiz. Like,
I see what
you got to utilize like what's going on. So
yeah.
Eventually, he just started doing my fucking final for me, because it's like I like to get up and play with they mind, because like I'll know what answers aren't right and I'll know what answers I'm stuck on. So it was like for the business class here, the tests aren't they don't stack onto each other, so I don't have to learn section A, section B, section section C. The midterm was on section A and B, and then the final was on section C. So I'm like, he came over, I'm like, okay, do I have to look at previous information? I know the answer to this question already. I don't have to, but I'm making sure. And I go, well, this one, the one I thought was like the answer it could have been, I was like, well, this one is from section yada 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 from what's the name A, and he was like, oh, that's a good observation. So I crossed that one out, and it was easy to cross out a couple more because they were like in the same group.
Like part of,
and then boom, I got the right answer in my head. I did. We'll see what I get.
Right,
when I get my
but that's
score
like
back.
I think an important thing, and that's what I do. I exhaust all of my resources.
Dog,
I don't.
You gonna get tired of me before I leave because
yeah, exactly.
You have to tell
you
me
have
no.
to because I'm paying you to.
You're gonna have to tell me
to
no,
give me A's.
and you're gonna have to deny me, and then you're gonna feel guilty because I asked you a question and you didn't answer it, and you didn't fulfill your promise as a teacher.
But that's important though. People don't use or utilize teachers, I think, that the way that they should, and like
teachers get away with way too much.
And at the end of the day, like these teachers, like my 304 professor, like I emailed her hella, like asking questions all the time. That woman she and I are locked in. She's written me recommendation letters. She loves me. There's like a handful of my teachers. Yeski, you know he loves all of us.
Yeah, they're gonna do the work for you eventually, and it's not like, oh, I'm giving you the answer in his handouts. It's okay. This kid is actually engaged. This kid is trying. I don't mind helping him. But if you just sit there and just go, oh, what's this? Oh, I'm incapable of doing this. That's what nobody wants to help you.
They see you trying.
Yeah, so when you get to trying, they like, all right, I don't mind helping them out. Like, I'm pretty sure I got lenience on a few of my papers because the teacher understands what I'm trying to say, and the stuff that I talk about is so interesting.
Yeah.
She's like, damn, this is good. You messed up here, and here, but I'm not going to deduct it as much as I would have.
Right, because I see you're trying. I see that.
And then you
effort.
talk to me about it all the time.
And that's what my dad was saying, because I started to spiral, and my Wednesday was a rough day. Like,
go for it. You had the final at 10 o'clock.
So I had that one. So I got to the testing center at like 9:45. I started my test 9:47, and it was like 3 essays on political philosophy. I definitely pulled things like I'm pretty sure I killed it, but like I don't know how I did. And that was like 3 hours, and then I had a 30-minute break between the math one, and then I tested for math from like 2 to 5:45. That's
crazy. And
it was rough as hell. And afterwards, I was just like, and I was up until 3 a.m. the night before studying and 2 a.m. the day before. It was like bad. I was at my end, and I was starting to get really nervous because I didn't feel good after my exams, and I was just like, Dad, like, what if I got this wrong? Like, I put so much effort into math, especially But it was just like, you know, regardless of how things turn out, like your teacher might help you. It's over, but your teacher also sees the effort that you put in. And so like, I wouldn't be surprised if you rounded my grade up just like a little bit. And I feel like my teachers in the past have done this because I've always just like worked really hard.
Yeah.
So utilize those resources.
And what you also need to do is look, if you're not sure of something, do it until somebody stops you.
Yeah.
So like, look, during the math final, wait. Do I want to tell myself? During the math final in high school, you're not supposed to have, during the math final in high school you're not supposed to have a graphing calculator.
Mm-hmm. Oh my God, yes, ask for forgiveness later.
So
asking for forgiveness later.
So have 2 calculators, but if you're better on a graphing calculator, bring that motherfucker.
So you brought
in high school, I did that.
Did you?
High school in Lincoln.
That's what that's okay.
Yeah, so, but like...
Fuck, were you able to use the graphing calculator?
I was using it as much as I could, and then he came and, I don't know, I saw him and I like just switched out, because I didn't really need it anymore, but like...
Smart.
Yeah, so like, use it, and if somebody comes stop you, then you go, oh, all right, I'll stop.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
But like, until you're stopped, bro, keep going. Like, sometimes, even, bro, because I want to play fucking for the football team, or at least want to try out, right?
For this one here?
Yeah, so I'm like, bro, they not posting the stuff on the internet. They not responding to the emails. I don't care how much you tell me that you want the players to email you this and that. It's not working for me, bro. I got to run up on you in real life, bro. And I'm not the type to look for the office because that's way too much work.
Did I see you, like, walking on the practice football field?
Yeah, that is what you saw.
Oh, I thought I saw you when I was biking, but I was like, it could be another guy.
No, that was me, bro. So, usually they're so secretive. They want to be so mysterious. Man, all that. I want to be on it, so I got to get to it. So,
I thought you were into basketball and
basketball
golf.
Like a side hobby, and I love golf. But you can't... golf is like my leisure sport.
Okay.
Football
white
is
man.
Like, yeah.
Just kidding. Golf is not white.
So usually they like lock off the football field, this and that. But this time they had it open.
And you crept in.
So I was sitting there. No, I didn't creep in. I sat there and I was like talking to myself, and I'm like, oh, this is it. This is the opportunity. And I'm like, dang, what if this, what if that? I'm like, I pay these niggas so much money. I go to this school.
Right. No regrets.
He gonna have to cuss me out for me to get off the field. So he's sitting there. He talked to some players, and I was like, fuck it. So I just walked onto the field, and I'm like, you know, is you a coach? And he like, yeah. I'm like, all right. Where can I find the information for the? Do you know when the walk-on tryouts start? And he like, well, they're not until like spring, like around February. So now I got a month. And then he pointed me in the direction to find some secretary that'll give me more information. She was useless. But
I hate useless
I hate useless people. Like,
I
be
know,
useful.
it's just like, fuck, okay, like, you're not helping me at all. And it's like, they're still talking. It's like, fuck, I already know you're not helpful. I want to leave right now, but you have to wait.
Yeah.
Like, shit,
So-
type A personality.
So I walk over there to where he pointed me at and stuff, and it's like, I'm gonna keep walking until somebody stops me. You know what I'm saying? The track team was over there doing something, but I'm gonna just keep walking until somebody
okay,
says,
track team.
"Hey, you're
Shout
not."
out to Kaya Sensi, my roommate. Oh, I'll hear myself a lot more. Sorry.
Yeah, and I'm like, yeah, nobody's gonna stop me. Nobody really cares. So if you're thinking about it, you should do something. Do it until somebody stops you.
Facts.
And if the person that stops you isn't in high demand or like a high power, keep fucking going. 'Cause fuck their
Yes.
opinion. Like, yeah. So to tie all of this back to optimism and being optimistic, optimism is a choice, but it's a choice that should be made wisely, and you got to be able to distinguish between optimism and avoidance.
Facts.
And then, oh damn, delusion is another thing that is extremely important. And
Ooh.
well,
So you are a delusional person. You like being delusional.
this is my world,
right.
and I think about it in my terms,
okay.
and I want to follow my rules.
Okay.
So you got to be able to have that delusional, quote unquote, delusional mindset to like, if you want to be somewhere where you want to be, you got to be able to think outside of yourself and defy all of the what they call it, like all the limits that you set on yourself.
yeah.
Because even in high school, it was like you got the college counselors and stuff. He was sitting there talking to me. He like, well, this is a big school and it's really hard to get in. I know he didn't mean any harm by it, but he didn't want me to be disappointed. I'm like, nigga. No, he was like, you would be a small fish going into a big pond.
My fucking
Like,
sophomore year.
Nigga, I'm a shark.
How
about that?
Okay.
How about that?
Yeah.
The great white. How about that?
Okay.
Like, this is like,
Yeah.
you got to be able to think in your own terms and be like, bruh, this is, I want it, I'm going to get it.
Yeah.
And then being,
That's not delusional though, I don't think.
people would say it is because you're thinking outside of their
Oh,
reality. So
maybe I
you
am
got to quote
delusional,
it
I just
on
don't
delusional.
know.
J. Cole said it, so
Okay.
go look it up.
Do you like J. Cole?
J. Cole is cool.
I love J. Cole. I
Yeah.
want to go to Forest Hills Drives next time I'm in Michigan. He's from Michigan. right?
Michigan is not Forest Hill Drive. That's North Carolina. That's so far.
Oh.
Well, I understand because you're on the other side, and that's on the
No,
opposite
this
coast.
is
But
really
come on, do
embarrassing.
better. This is your second time saying that. Yeah.
Fuck.
Yeah.
I didn't even realize that.
Yeah. Hold on. Do I have anything?
Oh God. There's so many
No, that's
people.
a joke one.
This is the third time that someone's been like, yeah, I mean, because I was like,
Next time I'm in
Missouri. I think I
Michigan.
was like, Missouri is like close to, I associated Missouri and Georgia. They're not anywhere near each other. I guess I am delusional. I'm living in my West Coast LA
You
bubble
live
that I
in
want to
your
get out
world.
of. I want to get out. I don't want to be in an LA bubble anymore.
So get up and go.
I'm trying to.
Don't try, just do.
No, but you do have to try.
But
like,
no, you just got to do.
no,
Trying is like, oh, I did my best, but doing is like, oh, and then you learn on the way.
but it's like I have to have. Like need an internship
What do you
or
need?
like a way to get out.
Just go get one. Just get out.
It's easier said than done.
No. Well, yeah, and it's easier done than said sometimes too. You just got to be able.
I try.
That's my mind. I'm talking to you out my
Yeah.
delusional mindset. It's
I
like
know,
I'm gonna do it.
I'm gonna do it, but it's just like I have to like work to get there. I don't know.
Just
like,
start talking. Just start
No, I
talking
am.
out loud.
You
And
don't
just
worry.
start doing
I
stuff.
already have my plan.
All right,
You already
good.
know I
All right.
plan my
Okay,
shit out.
there we go.
And I just wanted to say that my sophomore year advisor, who's a fucking sorry, that was inappropriate. I'm sure she's a great woman. She
outside
just,
of you.
number one enemy, not really, but just because my sophomore year of high school, she took me out of my algebra 2 and trigonometry class that we weren't learning anything in, and we were just going over like grades and colleges. She was like, and I was like, yeah, USC is my top, and she was just like,
Yeah,
you might not get in there.
See?
You might want to consider your options. Fuck you, bitch. Because I got into fucking USC and UCLA and all of these other schools that no one else in my class got into. Yeah, so suck on that. And you're still working at the same high school you went to. Yeah.
Oh, no,
How
no.
you like them
Hey,
apples?
chill.
Sorry.
You
just
dissing
kidding.
too many people.
I'm
You
just
dissing
kidding.
way too many people.
And peace and love. Like, actually, like, peace and love. Give me another little... All peace and love. That just like for me, I was just like, oh my gosh, what? And then I proved her wrong. Obviously, it doesn't
But
even
yeah.
matter. But
So, yeah, get that mindset that it's like, no matter what, I'm gonna do it. And when you being optimistic, understand that it's good in everything, but you also got to see the bad. And I'll say this.
Accept it
Art,
and learn to love it.
Yeah, an art quote was you got to know the rules to break them.
Yes.
So in art class, yeah, it's like
I think
in art class it's like you might feel like, damn, why am I learning how to draw? I don't draw like that. That's how I felt when I went to like, because I ended up going in like to advanced art in high school.
okay, so you do art.
Yeah.
I want to see it.
All right, I'll show you. But like, what was it? Oh, and so it was like, damn, I don't draw like this. So it's like hard to learn these new forms. And my teacher was like, well, yeah, I know you paint. I know you don't do pen. So it'll be, of course, your work isn't going to come out like the rest of them. But the fact that you're learning this stuff, you're going to know how to add it in. And if I teach you the rules of this, you're going to know how to break them. You know what I'm saying? If you don't know any rules, you just going out there. But if you know the rules, you go, I'm actively choosing to break this law.
Right.
And it allows more structure to what you're doing, if that makes sense. You can you can look at something and say no. But if you don't know what you're looking at, it's hard to say no or yes. It's hard to differentiate. So
yeah,
understand the rules to break them. Understand your situation to tell yourself, okay, I choose not for that to happen.
Right.
So that's my version of optimism. I hope that answers the question of optimism, but just be able to look at it in the face and say, okay, I understand that it's this, and that. I understand that I have to do this, and that. I understand this is hard and this can go wrong here, but I'm going to do it anyway.
Yeah.
Just step up to the plate, nigga, and swing the bat. Like,
basically.
You're never going to get a home run if you don't swing the fucking bat.
And
swing the bat.
Yeah, and it's okay. I think, like, the bad parts and the hard parts of life are some of the most beautiful parts. And, like, if you learn how to get through those and learn how to, like, find joy out of them and understand that, I mean, I like to go through the idea that, like, everything happens for a reason.
Yeah,
and,
love
like,
that thing.
my, like,
love
downfalls or, like, you know, the dark parts of life, they give me more purpose, they give me more depth, and they give me a better person. They make me a better person and a person more able to, you know, enjoy the light parts of life. So, I don't know, just not being scared of them is important, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We pushing an hour right now, so it
Yeah,
might be time to wrap this up and get you back on for part 2. So
part 2, part 3, I could talk for days.
D1 yappers.
D1 yapper.
But okay, we getting into the yapper. Give me one last quote. Just give me one last quote, and that's gonna be the quote of the day.
My senior year quote was a Friedrich Nietzsche quote, the German philosopher.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
And it was like, to those who don't hear the music, the ones dancing look crazy. And it's basically like,
oh my God.
That means just like it makes sense to you and that's what matters. But like you don't know what's going else for other people. So you don't have any space to judge them. And like you don't need to judge yourself because you don't know what other people are even thinking when they're like looking at you.
Living in your own reality and accepting the things around you.
You hear the music, so dance to it.
Nigga.
And like everyone wants to be dancing anyway. So like, hey.
And you got to be the one that sparks change.
Shake that groove thing. You know that song? Shake your groove thing.
All right. What do I want to exit out on? There's more options. Let's see. I'll see you guys later. Thank you for tuning in. And as always, I love you.
Thank you for having me, Austin.
No problem. Oh, shit. The crickets play.
Crickets.